What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Blocky's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Fanstoys Scavenger. I almost said Scrapper there, but Scavenger, and this is on loan to me from Nick the Toy Guy. I'm not buying these, I don't like the way they look. But looks are subjective, and one man's trash is another man's treasure, and yada yada yada. That's not the point. The point is that Nick the Toy Guy is such a gentleman that he has sent me his own personal copies to review and then send back to him. He even included return shipping labels so that I could get the review up for you guys. And since he's nice enough to do that, I'm nice enough to plug his store, which you will find the link to in the description of this video, as well as some discount codes, I believe, that should help you with a discount on the price and shipping. It's particularly useful if you live on the East Coast, but he does great business everywhere, so don't hesitate to reach out to him and let him know that Bobby sent you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this guy, but in order to do so, we need to first take a look at accessories. So first and foremost, he comes with his gun. It is painted with a kind of like metallic onyx or charcoal paint, which looks nice. Sculpt is fine, very, very simple, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's inherently bad. In this case, I think it's fine. There's a peg on the handle of the gun, which goes into the palm of the hand, and then the fingers wrap around in typical Masterpiece fashion. You can also take this gun and collapse the handle, which will reveal a little tab there, and that will correlate there for alt mode, which I actually kind of dig for storage wise. I'm not sure if I've seen that done before, but I like it. He also comes with his horn. Go on and blow it. A little Prince reference for you. It is brassed out with the gold brass, which looks nice enough. So we've seen this before, right? And peg in the palm of his hand, which you can wrap this around and tab it in. Oh, that's not what I wanted to show. And wrap his fingers around and he'll hold it just fine after you get it tabbed in. Apparently it comes off the mushroom peg fairly easy, so use caution. Before we take a look at the figure, there is a number of things that you need to do to get this guy situated in typical Fanstoys fashion. So one of those things is this, the feet come like this. I've already sorted them for the opening footage because I wanted him to be able to stand. It's a very tight little fit here, but there is a little tab on the back of the heel there that if you push it, it even works better if you have a spudger, which I don't have handy, but maybe this Clone Trooper blaster will help. Yes. Then you can move that out, and then you can rotate the foot down. You do that to both sides so that he can stand. You're also intended to take this piece, rotate it out. It's on a double hinge. Use a little bit of caution. And then you can take this excavator here and compress it a little bit further than what it comes in the package, but it's not much, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure if it's really worth it. And then I think it has you, this is fine to me. I think it has you do this, which to me is not any better or worse really, but it's what they advise. In their instructional video, they have this piece here sitting backward and needing to compress it forward, but mine came compressed already, so yours might as well. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the figure, and we'll get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis. The metallic red visor looks absolutely fantastic. The head sculpt in general looks pretty good. The head is on a hinge swivel. It's limited up because of all this stuff, just countless things that he brings to the table. So very limited up. A little bit down, which is nice, and the swivel, no confused dog look, but you do get the kind of charcoal metallic onyx paint there, as well as this gray, which look great. All right, then you have the torso, not a whole lot to talk about. You have the green paint, which is on the arms as well. You have the silver and gunmetal or onyx metallic paint there. You do get a waist swivel, which is nice and somewhat a surprise from time to time with Fanstoys, so that's, love to see it. Then you get, do you get an ab crunch? No, I thought not. Okay, so then, at least I think so. Somebody will be like, no, you just do this, and then it works. And that's fine too. You have shoulder joints that get you out to 90 degrees. They're universal joints, and they're very nice ratchets. Very, very nice indeed. With a bicep swivel, and then you can get around until you start bumping into the backpack, or move out of the way of the backpack and get all the way around. The elbow is a single hinge. It gets you 90 degrees. Maybe slightly a hair more, yeah, a hair more than 90 degrees, and they do give you a little bit of sculpted detail on the elbow joint, which I do appreciate. Wrist swivel, thumb on a ball peg that comes out to an additional hinge, and the fingers are on a base pin knuckle that comes out to a secondary knuckle, and they've been doing this cost-saving feature here where they don't give you the third knuckle recently, which is fine. It's not quite as aesthetically pleasing as when they give you all three, but it's not as bad as typewriter fingers because the angle of the fingers a bit, still a little bit, but not as like kind of dreadful, and I think works well enough. Same for the other side. I do find this green to this green off-putting, but I also understand why they didn't paint this. Alrighty, let's back out and look at the whole figure if we can, because he's a big old unit. Hip skirts, metallic purple, painted nicely. The metallic purple on the legs looks brilliant throughout. We'll get these arms out of the way. You have universal joints for your hips. They get you out for the full Van Damme. The forward joint gets you the full Monty. However, the backward joint gets you nothing at all. Doesn't move a lick. Which isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it is somewhat limiting. All right. You don't need a whole lot of range of motion backward, you know, but a little bit can help. Thigh swivel, that works beautifully. And then you have a single hinge knee that gets you a little bit more than 90 degrees. And isn't the ugliest, to be fair, which is always nice. And then for the ankles, you get a slight toe tilt up, a nice ankle tilt down, and then a bit of a rocker. Fairly limited, but you do get it. You have a huge backpack. Huge. Huge. Humongous. Just to house the arm. And I'm not sure that anybody would have cared if it was parts forming. You know, there's parts forming pieces to this. I don't get it. Then you have the backpack in it, which is, I mean, it's large and in charge. You know what I mean? You can't do nothing about that, or at least they couldn't. Because I really think that combine mode was the goal here. Everything else is sort of a bonus in their eyes. All right, so that's him. Let's go ahead and take a look at him next to a couple other figures. So there he is next to the X-Transbot Scrapper, and he's about a head taller, for whatever that may be worth to you. They're big, and it's part of the reason why I think the simplistic nature doesn't necessarily help them aesthetically, and once again, in my personal opinion, I think if this was like a smaller bot, it would look a bit better with the limited sculpt and detail, but it's not that, right? So there you go. There he is next to the Toy World Scavenger, for whatever that's worth to you. I got this guy off the shelf and had to unpose him a bit, and I'm still kind of impressed with how they worked a lot of those treads and sort of articulation joints there. That's really kind of impressive stuff to this date. Obviously, it's starting to show its age in robot mode. However, I'm not sure that one of these looks necessarily that much better than it, but I do get it, as I'm sure you do too. So there's a couple things that we can do really quick. Turn his head 180, take this cover down, that hides the face. You can collapse the heels into the toes, pull the arms out to the side, and flip this piece down on this side, and this piece down on that side. All right, so then rotate the bicep 180, undo this tab, or flap rather, and then rotate that 180, and then pull the shoulder up and away, and then you want to rotate this joint up on top, but you want to have it so that this can collapse, I believe, but you want this side. So let me figure this out. There we go. There we go. All right. Same for this side. So we're going to spin at the bicep 180. We're going to open this flap here and then rotate at the flap 180. Then disconnect from the shoulder, and then you have to rotate just on this green piece there up. All right, let's see what else we can do. We can open up this, and then once you do that, you can kind of open these up the shoulders up all together to just get as much out of your way as possible. Okay, then for here, we're going to open up these hips a bit. We're going to angle these legs in a Z pattern. And then we're going to open up this panel, which will allow us to rotate the in, and then close the panel and recollapse the feet. So same on this side. Up and bend. Panel up. Feet in. Panel down. Reconnect. And then we're going to rotate these around. And you have a whole or female male connection point there. There we go. And female male connection point on the same other side, same way. There we go. And then obvious, right? Got two holes there that need filling, so to speak. Rotate these up, fill in the gaps. Rotate these up, fill in the gaps. Then on the arms, just rotate them down. There's a tab here that will connect if you're doing it properly. And then same on the other side. And you can leave these flaps out to the side. Now, you have to make sure that this waist here is up, but I can't get this thing to budge. So I'm gonna work on that, and I'll come back to you and see if I got any helpful hints. But like they show in their video instructions to push on this purple bit while pulling on the green bit, but I'm just having a heck of a time with it. So let me deal with that for a minute and I'll come back. All right, so I think I've got it. I'm not sure if this is up as far. It's kind of hard to tell, and it's a really tight connection. Also, just make sure that everything is tabbed in properly, so that everything will line up when you bring this piece down, which has two tabs that will go in between these purple bits here and into the green arms. I think that's really all you need to be mindful of. These pieces here go in between, on top of this purple piece, but behind this purple tab here at the bottom. And these little notches here will correlate with these notches there. And let's see. And it's giving me some trouble. So let me mess with it and I'll come back. And I just can't get it quite all the way there. I'm not exactly sure why. I've taken it out. I've looked at it. Maybe I'm doing something really simply wrong, but it's not like it's not like complicated transformation. Then these doors close. You see this not completely aligned properly. This one's pretty close. This one's still a good bit off. You can tell by the notches. Anyway, I'll mess with it a bit more. Take this out, spin this around. You can take your piece that you had to fix in the beginning, close that up, and then bring these pieces down. And that's it. I'll clean it up. We'll take a look at it. So there it is in alt mode. I'll put it next to Tiger Tracks. You know, it's significantly sized piece. No real world details at all. Nothing. No caution stripes. Nothing. You get a little bit in the pistons here. Really, really plain. You know, just like some of you want it. Not me, but some of you. Translucent plastic here at the windows, which looks fine. The armature can go that far out. collapse. The excavator can dig up. It swivels as well, not that you need it to, but it does. And yeah, I mean, that's about it. It doesn't roll or anything, nor does it need to necessarily, but it doesn't. And I can't quite get it to stay seated in there all the way either, but it's close enough, I think, to have an opinion about. All right, well, let's go to combine mode, or at least give it a shot. So we need to get access to some of this stuff that's inside of her, so to speak. Open this up. You might need to open these, probably. You can open this up. That's got to stay open. And then we're going to lift this up. Let's get the arms out. Yes. We need to get this out from that hinge. And on this side, let's get the arms out and get this out from that hinge. Let's open up this and this. Untab. And you can kind of bring these down for now. These pieces can actually rotate up. All right. Then you can get these pieces all the way down and out. And then everything can kind of come back. Oh, let's get the hand out too. So this tabs in up here. And the faux tracks will tab in to 2 places on the bottom of the arm. Same on this side. The arms tab in, and then the faux tracks tab into the bottom of the arm. And then this piece comes back down. You can make sure that all of this tabs in properly. We gotta get that tabbed in better. There. There. This comes down. That tabs in nicely now. This piece comes around, tabs in, tabs in. These pieces come down. These pieces come down. This you want to collapse now into that space. And I think you want this like that. Does that seem right? And this might even be able to collapse a bit more, but I'm uncomfortable pushing it any further because it doesn't belong to me and I don't want to scratch anything. But that is the top part anyway. And then here's the more interesting bit. So open these up. Bend your knee. And there's a little tab here that I'm going to get a spudger for so that I don't hurt my nail. That unlocks the knee from the shin, basically. All right. Then straighten the leg out again. And then bend the leg back around, and this time you'll have this it'll sit inside there. We'll fix that later. And actually, we can just bring, because this whole piece needs to come down anyway. So we'll just start that process. There's a joint right here at the hip that separates, so we can get some of that out of the way. All right, open this up. And then these pieces will come together like the Beatles, Aerosmith, Michael Jackson, etc. Okay, then pull the fist out. You can flip this piece over. We're going to grab this because we've got to get a hold of it. Probably shouldn't have done that. All right, we're back. And inside of here, there are these little tabs. And they support the structural integrity of the frame. So you got to rotate them out. There's 4 of them. And just maneuver as need be. And then you have some additional panels here and here. This is on a double hinge, I think. That'll flip around, come down, cover down, and then you're supposed to collapse this piece in. So then you got to combine it. Before you do, these locks that were holding the shins into the knees, make sure you flip those up. It'll make your life a little easier. And make sure that this is all connected. And then there's basically, find where the elbow is. Okay, so you want this to be on the bottom because this doesn't actually close the gap. There's like a notch here, and you want that to go into the wider part and then slide up. And it's a little challenging to see it all. There, slide up. And then tab in the side panels. That was giving me a little trouble. These went right in. This comes down, sits over top. I'll have to mess with the alignment. I got something a little off on the alignment on this side, but that's basically what you're looking for. These 2 purple bits to come through. Unfortunately, there's big purple bits on the back and then some purple bits on the top and side. All right, I'll get it sorted. We'll come back. There we go. I don't have this part quite in all the way. It is a little obnoxious. I have some thoughts about this that I'll share at the end. Yeah. So I like it overall. I really like it. I think it is solid as a rock. You know, once you get all that sorted out, I'm sure. The joints feel great. Everything's ratcheted. The hand is nice. I like the little extra sculpted detail here. You know, I think it's good, man. I think this Devastator is going to be great. I do not like them individually at all. But I think the Devastator is going to work out quite nicely. I mean, some of this stuff has a tendency to come undone a little bit, but yeah, I like this. I like this a fair bit. Let me get a little shot next to Tiger Tracks, and let's get out of here. Final thoughts-wise, let's start with the negatives, and I'm going to start with the most objective ones in terms of robot mode, then we'll move to vehicle and combine mode. There's no outward ratchets on the hips, and he has a lot of weight to him, namely because of the amount of stuff that he carries around in his backpack. And as you pose him, the hip joints can give out on you because they're just simply not strong enough to handle that amount of weight at the more extreme poses or angles. Just so you see what I mean. There's some limited head articulation, just in terms of being able to look up, and the pelvis kind of sits distinctly below the waist, which sometimes throws the proportions off in posed looks. Limited ankle rockers, they're there, but the range of motion is limited. But those are mostly my complaints in regard to articulation. Of course, it doesn't have the more sophisticated articulation like butterfly joints and ab crunches, at least to my knowledge. But honestly, I mean, my main criticism of Fanstoys is them getting up to date with the current level and standards of articulation in the first place, so I'm not really expecting the more advanced stuff quite yet across the board. From the looks of it, it looks like Long Haul has it though, which is nice. On top of that, I'm not crazy about keeping the arm completely stored in the robot mode. They're not going for the all-in-one sort of gimmick nature here, so why make any sacrifices in order to do certain elements of it? I just don't get it. They've already had to add additional stuff to Scrapper. Like, that element of it is already a wrap. So just make everything else look the best that you can and plug the pieces in as you go. And then there's like this super kind of like blocky look, which to me just comes across more like a children's toy and less like something sophisticated. That's not because it's quote unquote G1 accurate. There's plenty of G1 accurate toys that don't have that same issue. This one in particular stands out as like above and beyond in regard to making itself look as dumb as possible in that specific regard. Look, and the transformation, all that is fine. I think that this has just got some tight joints and stuff, and it'll loosen up over and because it's overall a very simple process, much like the Scrapper, and if they all continue in that way, I think it's going to be a pretty enjoyable set overall. But one thing I do have to mention, I think it's dumb to put the hand in the backpack. I think it screws everything up. If the hand piece was a separate parts forming piece that just wrapped over the forearm without it having to fold up into a box and sit inside of his chest, the forearm would look better in combined mode. It would look more purposeful. The purple wouldn't show through as much. You wouldn't have that big opening in the back of the forearm, for instance. The bot would look better because you could condense a lot of what's going on in the torso without the big hand sitting inside of a box, sitting inside of the chest, etc., etc. Like, why carry storage for the parts forming piece? You know, I don't get it, and I think it really ruins the entire figure. And even the combine mode, which I think is the strongest thing about this piece, looks a little less because of the way that they did it. It should have just been an extra piece that you plug on. It would have looked better across the board. It's parts forming either way. There's really no advantage to doing it the way they did it. Positives wise, the materials still feel great. Typical Fanstoys materials with that typical feel to them. The paint is fantastic. Once again, another element that you just expect with Fanstoys, and they deliver. Comes with the appropriate accessories, and they integrate well enough. The basic level of articulation is here. There are some limitations, but the basic level of articulation is here, and it hasn't been in a lot of Fanstoys stuff recently. So I love to see that. And like I said, I think the transformation process is pretty straightforward for all modes. I think I struggled with it a bit because it's new and it has that like Fantoys tightness of joints. But I do have faith that that will open up over time, and I think it's fun enough. I think if you want this for a Devastator, it's going to be a good G1 looking Devastator. If you want it for robot mode, you and I feel different about how these things should look. Hope that helps. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.